doesn't take much research to realize that the people of Europe were highly terrorized and tortured way before Columbus set sail. You have the Inquisition, the Black Death, the bubonic plague, Roman expansion, which was absolutely brutal and horrible, the witch persecutions, kings demanding that every Scottish and Celtic woman sleep with him before they could marry their husbands to keep the blood pure. Just horrific, I dare say disgusting things happened to our people long before Columbus sailed the blue or whatever. We're talking millions of women being affected by the witch persecutions. Some were burned alive, drowned alive, tortured in torture chambers. Most of them were raped, beaten. You just have this really hard, dark period of time discussed in the book Chalice and the Blade, which documents the transition of European culture from a chalice culture of abundance and cooperation to a blade culture of fortification, defense, and competition. So that really blew my mind. And I actually went home. I consider myself to identify very strongly as a Diné woman, as a Native American woman. But for the first time in at least 4 generations, probably more, I went home to Europe, and I went to those places where the people were burned, where the people were hurt, where the Welsh language was prohibited from being spoken in schools, where people were burned for being Christians and people were burned for being not Christians. Just every way we got tortured. And it was beautiful to reconnect, feel them, and realize that just because these mountains have lost their ceremonies doesn't mean they don't need ceremonies. Just because these sacred sites in Europe have lost their people, or people who remember the songs, the prayer sites, the offerings, the ways of keeping those mountains alive, doesn't mean that they don't starve for that, doesn't mean that they don't yearn for that. So I would go to as many mountains as I possibly could in Europe, and I would offer a strand of hair, and I would say hello. I'm sorry it took me so long to get home.